Hey, Brightsiders, your regular brain workout is ready. Hope you've come prepared. Let's start. Patrick called the police. The man seemed to be extremely worried.
My wife Victoria took our dog for a walk in the afternoon. Several hours ago, our pooch returned alone. I don't know where Vicky is.
The police questioned the suspects, people who were often seen near Patrick's house. Mrs. Summers said she'd been watching TV all day long.
I was busy delivering mail,
said the mailman.
I didn't have time to linger in this area, and I didn't see anything.
And Mr. Thomas told the police he'd been working in his home office. The detective knew at once that one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was the mailman. His sleeve is a bit torn and there's a dog bite on his arm. Plus, do you see some black fur on his pant leg? Victoria's dog probably tried to protect the woman. Peter graduated from the police academy and began to work as a trainee detective. 1 week into his new job, Peter already had the first tricky case on his hands. One of his colleagues was investigating a series of crimes connected with smuggling. She was close to solving the case, but several days ago, the woman disappeared. Peter visited the last location where his colleague had been spotted and found a note. Peter had 3 suspects: Bill, a manager at an oil company, Todd, a jeweler, and John, a car dealer. Who knows something about the disappearance of Peter's colleague? Peter managed to prove he deserved his detective badge. The guy turned the message upside down and tried to read it that way. Surprisingly, the letters made rather legible words. Bill is boss. He sells oil. Mr. White, a rich businessman, disappeared right from his bedroom. But he managed to leave a note. It read, the 1st of July, the 4th of January, the 1st of December, the 8th of February. The police questioned the people who were in the house at that time. Judy, Mr. White's wife, said,
I'm shocked. My husband was always so careful. Sadly, I don't know anything. I was away staying at my parents'.
Logan, Mr. White's secretary, told the police he'd been working on the report for his boss and hadn't left his study. And Rose, Mr. White's daughter, answered, I was having guests. We didn't leave my room. Can you help the police solve this case? The one behind Mr. White's disappearance is his wife. The 1st of July means the letter J, the 4th of January, U, the 1st of December, D, and the 8th of February, Y. Altogether, it's Judy. Julia came to have lunch in her favorite restaurant. She occupied a table near the window and put her bag on the chair next to her. Once the woman gave her order to the waiter, she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. But when she returned to her table, her bag was open and her wallet was missing.
Oh no!
The waiter told her he had noticed only one man passing by her table. He was short, with a tattoo on his neck. He seemed to go out to the terrace. Julia rushed there and saw 3 people sitting at their tables. She looked at them attentively and soon understood who had taken her wallet. Who was the thief? It's the young woman on the right. You can see a wig and some men's clothes in her bag. Plus, she's wearing a turtleneck to cover her tattoo. Jennifer was late for work again. Her boss was furious. He told the woman he'd let it slide this time if she cracked his Rebus puzzle. I'm A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z. This riddle was too difficult for Jennifer. She couldn't solve it and was fired. And how about you? Can you figure out the answer? That's I'm missing you. Got it? There's no letter U there. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank's security guards had helped the criminals. A police detective decided to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard someone shout and rushed there. But by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been enjoying his cup of coffee at the time when the crime occurred. He didn't even hear anything. And the third guard said that he had run after the thieves, but he had to stop to lace his boot. Without a second thought, he crouched near an emergency exit. At that very moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came to his senses, the criminals were gone. Justin immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third security guard. All emergency doors open outwards for safety reasons. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw just one continuous line and turn IX into 6. The only condition was that the students were not to lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first to complete this task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Look at these couples. There's something seriously wrong with one of them. Which one? The couple on the right is strange. Look at the reflection in the mirror. It's all messed up. Nick called his wife Lauren from his office and promised her he would be home by 8 o'clock. That day was Lauren's 35th birthday. She had been getting ready for the party for 3 days, ordering food, sending invitations to her friends, and decorating the house. Nick came home at 8:05. He brought a cake, beautiful flowers, and an expensive bracelet. But Lauren was mad at him. Why? Lauren was sure Nick would come home at 8 p.m. in time for her birthday party, but he came home at 8:05 in the morning. Look at this picture. What's wrong here? Flowers don't bloom outside in the winter. How about this picture? Look at that bus. It's definitely a school bus. But why is it green? There are 2 mistakes in this picture. Can you find them? That lady is eating her soup with a fork. And there's a frog on that girl's plate. Yikes! Look at the picture and try to figure out what doesn't fit here. Right, it's the gas stove. All other devices run on electricity. In this picture, you see an artist and 3 women admiring his work. Can you figure out which one is his wife? It must be the woman in the middle. Have you noticed that the artist and this lady have the same blue paint stain on their clothes? And who is this doctor's wife? Okay, this lady on the right is the doctor's colleague. This lady is most likely a patient. Look at her teeth. And the woman in the middle is his wife.
Uh-oh.
Now, look at these werewolves. Which one is fake? It's the one on the left. He's wearing a costume. See that zipper? Mike came to the police station and claimed that he just had a car accident. A police officer accompanied Mike to the riverbank where the accident had happened. Mike told him that he had lost control while driving and the car had fallen into the river. Mike managed to get out of it and swim to the surface, but the car was gone. Now, he needed to write a report to his insurance company. The officer listened to Mike's story and detained him. Why? Look at Mike. His clothes are dry. But if he had gotten out of the river recently, his clothes would be damp. He's probably made up this story to get insurance for his car. Greetings to the best Brightside detectives. Have you prepared your magnifying glasses? Then let's start.
Yeah.
A man was trapped in a dark room. His only source of light was a candle. There were 3 doors leading out of the room. Behind one of them, there was a tunnel that could help him escape. Behind the other 2 doors, there was a concrete wall. The man had a key that could open any of the doors, but he could only use it once. Still, the man managed to get away. How did he do this? He brought the candle to each of the keyholes in turn. Near the door with the tunnel, the flame started to flicker. Imagine that you're stuck on the top floor of a 30-story building and there are no stairs you could take. Your only option is to use an elevator. There are 4 elevators in front of you, but the first one is swarming with extremely venomous spiders. In the second elevator, look! There's no elevator. You can only see an empty shaft. The third elevator is filled with toxic liquid. As for the fourth elevator, a furious, hungry tiger is inside. It seems like a no-win situation, but you have to find a way out. Which elevator? You should choose elevator number 3. As soon as the doors of this elevator open, all the liquid will pour out. And the only thing you'll need to do is to step far away enough not to have your shoes soaked. Now let's check how attentive you are. Try to figure out which rabbit doesn't have a twin. A small hint. Pay attention to the matching patterns on their ears, bellies, and cute little faces. Yep, that's the one we're looking for. Unlike others, it has darker spots around its nose and on its ears. And here's a bunch of kitties with their tails sticking up. A perfect hiding spot for a little bunny. Can you find it? This white rabbit is hiding literally in plain sight. Damien has bought a new keyboard, but apparently the seller fooled the guy and gave him a fake one. Can you find the proof? The keyboard has no 5s, but there are 2 4s. Someone hid a soccer ball in this crowd of happy pandas. Can you spot it? Right, here it is. So easy to miss. A dog has run away from its master. It's now hiding somewhere among all these bulls. Can you help the worried owner find his pooch? Right, here it is. Similar but not the same. Look at these two ladies. Which one seems suspicious? It's the woman on the right. Her reflection is all wrong. She's probably not human. All these people seem to be taking a shower, but which one is doing something wrong? The guy on the left, he probably just pretends to be taking a shower, but the water isn't running. Look at these people dancing at a costume party attentively. You need to figure out who is a werewolf. It's that guy in the corner. He's wearing a human mask, but his thick hair is peeking from underneath the mask. All of these people look well off, wearing some jewelry and nice outfits, but only one of them is indeed rich. It's that guy in a t-shirt. While he's focusing on his work, his bodyguards are waiting for him. Look at how attentively they're watching him and their surroundings. Which of these girls relaxing near the swimming pool is married? This girl doesn't have a ring, but she's wearing it on another finger. The second girl doesn't have a ring whatsoever. It's the third girl that's married. She must have taken her ring off before going for a swim, even though she isn't wearing it. There's a visible tan line on her ring finger. In one magic country, all animals are intelligent and rational. In one clearing, there are 10 lions and a sheep. Your task is to watch them and make sure the lions don't harm the sheep. If you get distracted, a lion can eat a sheep. But what the lions don't know is that if one of them does this, it will turn into a sheep too. In this case, the rest of the lions will probably eat it as well. If you leave this lovely company alone for some time, how many lions and sheep will you find when you come back? When you return, most likely, there will be 9 lions and 1 sheep. The main thing here is that all the animals are rational. Once the lion eats the sheep and turns into a sheep itself, the rest of the lions will understand the consequences and prefer to stay in the safety of their natural form. Oliver got a present for his girlfriend, Victoria. It was a new smartphone she'd wanted for ages, but Oliver didn't give it to her right away. Instead, he put it into a box. Victoria had to figure out in which of these 3 boxes the gadget was. Each box had a note. It's in here. Your present isn't here. It's not in the first box. Only one of these notes told the truth. Where is the smartphone? If it's in the first box, it'll mean that claims 1 and 2 are correct, which contradicts the conditions of the riddle. If the phone is in the third box, then both claims 2 and 3 will be true. But if the device is in the second box, note number 3 will be the only truthful statement. Mr. Smart's wife went missing. A detective came to investigate this case. Mr. Smart told her the following. The last time I saw my wife was in the morning. She was having breakfast. When I returned home at 6 p.m., her breakfast was still on the table, but she had disappeared. After hearing the man's story, the detective immediately arrested Mr. Smart. Why did she do so? When the detective arrived at the Smart's house, the breakfast on the table was still steaming. This means that Mr. Smart had set up the scene right before he called the police. Once Mr. Blue, Mr. Red, and Mr. White meet for dinner. When they take off their jackets, Mr. Blue draws their attention to the fact that each of them is wearing a shirt different from their surname. The man in a white shirt looks surprised and says, "Yeah, Mr. Blue, you're right. Can you figure out which shirt each man is wearing?" So, let's think logically. Mr. Blue can be wearing only a white or red shirt, but we know for sure that another man is dressed in white. This means that Mr. Blue can only be in a red shirt. Mr. White could be dressed in a blue or red shirt, but the red one is already taken by Mr. Blue. So we can logically conclude that Mr. White is wearing blue. And as a result, this leaves us with Mr. Red dressed in a white shirt. Liza was a popular guitar player in a rock band. On Friday, the band was going to have a big gig. Liza's bandmates were waiting for her, but the girl was very late. Eventually, she showed up, but it wasn't Liza. It was her twin sister, Alice. She was envious of Liza, so she locked her sister in the room, took her clothes and the guitar, and pretended to be a band member. But as soon as the musicians saw fake Liza, they immediately knew she wasn't their bandmate. How did they understand? Look how long the girl's nails are. You need to have short nails to play the guitar. A man came to a fruit market to sell watermelons. After he sold half of them and half of a watermelon, he saw he had one watermelon left. How many watermelons did he bring to the market? He came there with 3 watermelons. A high-speed express train is leaving in 15 minutes. Security guards are scanning everyone's bags and find one of these 3 bags very suspicious. Can you guess which one? It's the second luggage. This lady has a heavy book among her things, and the title, Dictionary, has the wrong spelling. Maybe it's just a cover to hide something suspicious? The train departs. Unfortunately, this area is full of rocks, so the road is winding a lot. Only one of these routes will lead the train to the final destination. Can you guess which one? Only the third route is correct. Susan is a first-class passenger. She orders a cup of tea. The waiter brings her what she asked for. Suddenly, Susan sees a fly in her cup and gets terrified. The waiter takes her cup and goes to the kitchen. Then, he returns with a fresh cup of tea. But Susan yells, "You brought me the same cup of tea! Gross!" How did she know? Susan already had added sugar. The tea was sweet when the waiter brought it back. Susan gets bored and takes a walk around the train. She enters a rail car with 3 passengers only, Xavier, Gerald, and Peter. One of them can't wait to meet his 2 daughters when the train arrives at the final destination. He promised to take them to the beach. Can you tell which guy it is? It's Gerald. He has 3 bucket hats on top of his suitcase. These two cute bucket hats still have price tags, so he probably bought them for his daughters as a gift. The train has arrived. Gerald rents a car to go to the mansion in the forest where his family lives. Unfortunately, the road is surrounded by multiple possessed wild animals. Suddenly, a black cat jumps on the windshield and Gerald crashes into a tree. He has to leave the car and walk to the mansion on his feet. Soon, Gerald finds himself at a crossroad. Can you guess which route is more or less safe? A, B, or C? All three routes have animal footprints. The bushes on the first route are moving even though it's not windy. This means that some animals are hiding behind them. And there's a pair of eyes shining in the dark on the third route. So Gerald will have to move quickly through the second route. It begins to rain heavily. Gerald finds a fancy mansion along the way. The owner invites him inside the house to hide from the rain and grab some snacks. Gerald agrees and finds himself at a glamorous party. There are 3 models eating in the buffet. One of them is broke. Can you guess who? The second lady. Take a look at her bag. She hides some food for later. Gerald walks around the mansion and sees 2 roommates. One of them is a thief. Can you guess who? It's not the first maid. There's an open safe with diamonds and cash in front of her, but she doesn't do anything. Meanwhile, the second lady has already hidden a diamond in her bucket, so she's the thief. Gerald eats a snack and falls asleep. He wakes up in an old basement. The mansion owner locked him up. Gerald finds a sheet of paper on the floor. It says, "I'll give you a chance to get out of here. The key to the door is inside this closed bag. Try to get it." Gerald tries to rip up the bag, but the fabric is too tough. He tries to tear it using his teeth, but he almost breaks a tooth. How can Gerald get the key? He should break a jar and use a fragment of glass to cut the bag and get the key. Gerald opens the door and enters a storage room. There are 3 doors leading to freedom. A forest full of hungry predatory animals is hiding behind the first door. The second route is filled with toxic gas that's impossible to stand for even a second. And there's a fire behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Gerald should choose the third door. There are bottles of water in the room, and the fire is rather small. Gerald can easily put it out. Finally, Gerald is outdoors. But there are 3 hidden dangers in this garden. Can you find them? There's a crocodile in these rose bushes. A laser beam alarm system is on. And a scorpion is hiding in a tree. Gerald runs away through the forest, but something's wrong with this place. Can you spot 3 odd details? Take a look at this spruce. Lemons don't grow on this type of tree. This beehive is inhabited by butterflies. Also, there are 2 moons in the sky. Gerald checks into the local motel to get some rest. He leaves his golden watch on the bed and goes to buy some coffee. In an hour, he returns to the room and sees that someone had stolen the watch. Gerald interrogates 3 suspects. The maid says,
I only entered your room once today to clean it before check-in. I have a master key, but it's always with me in my pocket.
The woodworker says, I entered your room an hour ago to fix a creaky bed. Everything's fine now. And Gerald's neighbor says,
I was feeling sick, that's why I went to bed earlier, so I didn't hear anything weird.
who stole Gerald's watch? Nobody. The golden watch fell under the bed. See? The next morning, Gerald goes to the motel's lobby to check out. He finds the manager, Lauren, lying unconscious on the floor. Gerald calls the police. They figure out that someone has put Lauren to sleep using an unknown substance and took all the cash. The police officer questioned 3 people who last saw Lauren conscious and healthy: Rose, Violet, and Lily. After checking out the crime scene, the officer arrests one of the witnesses. Can you guess who and why? Lily. Take a look at her hair extensions. They're not distributed evenly. That's because Lauren pulled out one strand and squeezed it in her fist. She wanted to leave a clue leading to the criminal. Gerald has just come back from his long trip. He's trying to open a suitcase, but realizes that he has forgotten the 4-number code. Luckily, Gerald left a note that can help him remember the code. Can you figure out the code? That would be too easy to use the given numbers as they are. To crack this mystery, we should mind the numbers of letters in each given number. So, the correct code is 5364. Finally, Gerald can keep his promise and takes his daughters to the beach. He also takes some food for a picnic. Can you guess the name of this food by emojis? Sandwich. Gerald and his wife Anna have a lot in common: daughters, careers, and a big house. They do everything together. One day, Anna comes home really late. She's tired but happy. Gerald gets jealous and yells at her. Anna flames out too. I was working all evening. Gerald says, Sorry, Anna, I don't believe you. It looks like you're dating someone else. Anna refuses to talk and goes to bed alone. Meanwhile, Gerald waits for Anna to fall asleep and checks her purse. He finds nail polish, a wallet, a pack of gum, lipstick, and some keys. Now Gerald is completely sure Anna was seeing someone else. How did he know? The keys are definitely not from their house. The next morning, Gerald receives an email from his boss. Can you guess the meaning of this message? It means, great job, you got it. This type of code is called a Caesar box. Because Julius Caesar was known as the first one to write codes this way. To decipher the message, simply divide the code into 4 groups of 4. Then rearrange them vertically.
Robert found a gold lamp in his mother's attic. He rubbed the lamp and a genie came out of it. The genie said he would grant Robert one wish and asked what it would be. Robert went downstairs to consult with his family. His wife wanted to have children, his father wanted to be rich, and his mother wanted to have perfect eyesight again. Interestingly, even though the genie granted Robert just one wish, all of the man's family members got what they wanted. What did Robert wish for? He wished for his mother to clearly see her granddaughter swinging on a swing made of gold. Smart, huh? Annie was locked inside a room with 4 doors. She could see that there were different kinds of dangerous creatures hidden behind each door. Behind the first door, there was a vampire. Behind the second, there was a zombie. Behind the third door, there was a mummy. And behind the last door, there was a werewolf. One of the doors was supposed to open in 1 minute, but Annie didn't know which one it would be. She had 3 different items she could use to protect herself: an axe, a torch, and an aspen stake. She needed to choose one that would help her fight any of the monsters. Which one should she choose? Her best option is the torch. Its fire can scare off any of the creatures and protect Annie. Dr. O'Brien invented a time machine and traveled all the way back to prehistoric times. Take a look at this picture and see if you can spot Dr. O'Brien amongst other prehistoric people carrying out their activities. That's easy. It's the guy with the flashlight. He must have taken it with him when he time traveled. Sarah was window shopping at her town's local mall when she saw her husband Tom inside one of the clothing stores. She got confused because he was supposed to be at work, so she went inside to confront him. "What are you doing here?" she asked him angrily. Tom said he was picking out an outfit for his company's end-of-the-year party. Sarah immediately shouted that he was a liar and that he was cheating on her. How did Sarah know? Look at the fitting room. Sarah saw a woman hiding behind the curtains. And also, look, Tom has a lipstick stain on his polo shirt. There were 3 thefts at a local supermarket. One in February, one in May, and one in July. Thankfully, the security camera recorded the footage of all 3 days. The store manager called Detective Moore to solve the crime. The detective noticed one detail that helped him crack this mystery. Take a look at the images Detective Moore saw. Can you also tell who the thief is? In all 3 videos, there is a pregnant lady. In the video from February, she looks about 7 months pregnant, but in the other 2 videos from May and July, her belly looks exactly the same. This means that she is the thief. She must have been faking the pregnancy all along. Beth and Mary sent selfies to their boyfriends, saying they were enjoying some alone time in the park. Take a good look at both selfies and guess which girl is cheating on her partner. In the first picture, we can see Mary treating herself to a lovely picnic by the lake. But hey, if she's alone, what's that pair of men's shoes doing in the corner of the photo? Mason came home one day and told Julia that he was going to be transferred to a research lab in Antarctica. He was beyond happy to get this job offer, so the couple decided to try a long-distance relationship. Julia asked Mason to send her as many pictures as he could, and that's what he did. After seeing the pictures, Julia sent him a text saying, "We're over, Mason. I know everything now." Take a look at the pictures Mason sent Julia. How did she know he was cheating on her? The last picture Mason sent has some palm trees peeking out. But there are no palm trees in Antarctica. Plus, look at those polar bear photos. Polar bears don't live in Antarctica. Mason must have photoshopped the pictures and has been lying about where he is all along. Oh, in the picture in the middle, there's a lipstick stain on Mason's shirt. Alice was at a crowded concert. Suddenly, she felt somebody reaching into her bag and pulling out her wallet, which only had credit cards inside. She couldn't see who the person was, but after checking the footage from the surveillance cameras, security guards were able to narrow it down to 3 suspects. Johnny said he had been waiting in line to use the toilet for hours and didn't have anything to do with the theft. Jenny said she was super rich and didn't need other people's cards to pay for things. Penny said she'd been focused on singing along with the band to notice what had happened. The security guards immediately understood who the thief was. Can you figure it out too? Well, nobody told Jenny that the wallet only had credit cards, but somehow she still knew it. She must have stolen it. It's finals week at Sunshine High, and the students are nervous. On the day of the physics exam, the head teacher enters each classroom to personally make sure there are no cheaters around. As soon as he enters classroom 2B, he spots a student cheating and suspends them immediately. Take a look at the classroom. Can you tell who is cheating? It's that guy with his legs crossed. He wrote the answers on his calf and is now cheating to pass the exam. Jack is in a cold cell. There's only bare ground beneath his feet. In the cell, there is one window, but it's located too high. There are no stairs and no chairs, just a shovel. He needs to get out of there as quickly as possible. He can't dig a tunnel and go deep underground since the walls are really thick. Jack would get exhausted long before completing the tunnel to freedom. Can you figure out an easier way to get out of the cell? He needs to dig a large hole in the ground and use the dirt to make a small hill. He can then climb it and reach the window. In a kingdom far, far away, an old lonesome king lived. The king was worried because he had no heirs to his throne. One day he came up with an idea. He decided to give each child in his kingdom a seed. He promised that the child who would grow the most beautiful plant would become his heir. 3 months later, thousands of children came to the palace. All of them had amazingly tall and green plants in their hands, but one girl had a pot that was empty. However, she was the one that the king chose to be the future queen. What made him do so? It turned out that the king had given children fake seeds, and the girl turned out to be the only honest child. Take a look at these images and try to guess what's wrong. Duh! In the last picture, the woman is trying to eat soup with a fork.
Hey, meet Mark Silver. He's a famous space detective who flies around galaxies figuring out the toughest cosmic crimes. Today, you're on a mission to help him. A rare artifact was stolen from a base on Mars. Mark is on the case and he has 3 suspects. All of them claim they've never been to Mars. Look at them attentively and try to figure out who might be the criminal. Look at the man. The soles of his boots are dusted with red, and Mars is often called the Red Planet because of the color of its soil. So the man must have lied about never having visited Mars. Suspicious. Mark is sent on a mission to a planet where all the inhabitants look different. When a group of locals meets him at a spaceport, he realizes that one of them is an imposter. Who is it? It's this creature with 8 arms and tentacles instead of legs. See that zipper on the left side? It must be someone else, maybe even a human, wearing a costume to disguise itself as a local. Maria, an astronaut's wife, has come to Mark because she thinks her husband is lying to her. A week ago, he told her he would fly to Jupiter to deliver rose petals to a local community. He even sent her a few photos when he arrived there. But Maria has some doubts. After examining the photos, Mark confirms the girl's suspicions. Her husband isn't on Jupiter. How did he understand it? Look at these rings behind Maria's husband's back. Only one planet in our solar system has such large, prominent rings. And that's not Jupiter, but Saturn. Once Mark was piloting a spacecraft, yeah, he can do that too, when he realized he was running out of fuel. He checked the nearest planets where he could get some fuel. The first one was freezing cold, the temperatures were insanely low. The second was boiling hot, so hot that even metals would melt there. And the third planet was super acidic. Which is the safest option to get some fuel? Mark should opt for the first planet. He'll be inside his spacecraft, so the cold won't harm him. As for extremely high temperatures and acids, well, they can easily damage his spaceship. The leader of a mission on a distant planet asked Mark to come and help him figure out one tricky case. He has 3 newcomers, and he suspects that one of them is an imposter and hasn't come from Earth. Can you help Mark understand which astronaut isn't human? The man in the middle might look like a human, but he isn't wearing a helmet. It means he's not from Earth. But that's not all. Look at the woman on the right. Her oxygen tank isn't connected to her helmet. She isn't human either. Mark arrived at the moon because someone had been stealing astronauts' belongings from a lunar base on the far side of the satellite. After investigating the case, Mark ended up with 3 suspects. Julia told him she had been working in the lab all the time. Hannah told him she had seen someone's footprints circling around the base, but later they had disappeared. The wind must have covered them with sand. And Lucas explained he had been busy with software repair. Who is the criminal? Well, the moon has no atmosphere. That's why there's no air or wind that could lead to erosion. That's why footprints couldn't have vanished. So, Hannah is lying. Why? Astronaut Kenny was on a spacewalk when he found out that his safety tether wasn't connected to the spacecraft. Luckily, Kenny managed to survive and get back to the ship. There, he contacted Mark Silver, claiming that it was his crew member, Margaret, who had disconnected the tether. When Mark arrived, he questioned Margaret, but she denied her involvement. She even claimed that she heard Kenny's cries and rushed to save him. Mark didn't believe her and detained her right away. Why? Space is silent since there's no air or atmosphere to carry sound waves. Even if Kenny had been shouting, no one would have heard him. Space pirates once captured Mark and locked him in a cargo compartment. The door has a password lock. To get out, Mark needs to remember what the biggest planet in the solar system is. He has 3 choices: Saturn with its rings, gas giant Jupiter, and ice giant Neptune. Could you help him choose? Well, Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. In fact, it's so big, it has more mass than all the other planets combined. Mark's friends came back from vacation and started sharing their experiences. Pete said that he had climbed an ultra-tall volcano on Mars. Daniel was happy that he had seen the Great Red Spot on Jupiter. And Thomas was super excited because he had managed to swim in a lake on Saturn's largest moon, Titan. Mark understood right away that one of his friends was lying. Who was it? It was Thomas. Even though Titan has lakes on its surface, they're filled with methane. You can't swim in them. Look at this picture attentively and help Detective Silver figure out what's wrong with it. This landscape definitely looks like the surface of the moon. But then, what is there in the sky? One space body is obviously Earth, but the other looks like another moon. One day, an insurance agent visited Mark Silver. She was almost sure that one of her clients wanted to commit insurance fraud. Apparently, he claimed that his spaceship was pulled into a white hole while he managed to escape using an emergency pod. Detective Silver agreed to help the agent since he immediately realized why the claim was fake. Have you figured it out yet? Well, it's black holes that swallow everything that comes too close. At the same time, white holes expel matter and energy. So a white hole wouldn't be able to pull inside a spaceship or any other object. One day, Mark was on vacation on a distant planet in a faraway galaxy. He was floating in a glass pod over a sea of blue lava when he spotted an object in the sky. It was getting bigger and bigger. Mark had 3 ideas about what it could be: a comet, a black hole, or a rogue planet. Could you help him figure out what this space intruder is? Well, it can't be a comet since comets have long tails. It's also unlikely to be a black hole since they are invisible to the unaided eye. So it's probably a rogue planet once kicked out of its home system and now wandering the universe. Mark was visiting his friend on his spaceship and accidentally locked himself in his room. To get out of it, he needs to solve a riddle. There are several buttons near the door. Each of them has a planet on it. Mark needs to press the button with the planet that is unique. Do you know which one it is? Mark needs to press the button depicting Uranus. It's the only planet that spins on its side. Now, Mark wants you to crack a few riddles on your own. Look at this picture. This girl has just landed on the moon. Can you spot 2 weird things that make this adventure seem fake? First, the girl isn't wearing a helmet, but on the moon, it's impossible to breathe without it. And secondly, the wind is blowing her hair, but there's no wind on Earth's natural satellite. Now look at the planets of the solar system and say if everything is fine with them. Uh-oh. It seems Jupiter and Saturn have switched their places. And finally, the last general knowledge challenge for you. Which planet had its status taken away almost 2 decades ago? Proxima Centauri b, Pluto, Uranus. Well, it was poor Pluto. In 2006, it was reclassified into a dwarf planet, after being considered the 9th planet for a long time.